The Odyssey, Book 20, by Homer. Portents, gather. Off in the entrance hall, the great king made his bed, spreading out on the ground the raw hide of an ox, heaping over it fleece from sheep the suitors butchered day and night. Then Eurynome threw a blanket over him, once he nestled down, and there Odysseus lay, plotting within himself the suitor's death, awake, alert, as the women slipped from the house, the maids who whored in the suitors' beds each night, tittering, linking arms and frisking as before. The master's anger rose inside his chest, torn in thought, debating head and heart. Should he up and rush them, kill them one and all, or let them rot with their lovers one last time? The heart inside him growled low with rage, as a bitch mounting over her weak, defenseless puppy's growls, facing a stranger, bristling for a showdown. So he growled from his depths, hackles rising at their outrage. But he struck his chest and curbed his fighting heart. Bear up, old heart. You've borne worse, far worse. That day when the Cyclops man mountain bolted your hardy comrades down. But you held fast. Nobody but your cunning pulled you through the monster's cave you thought would be your death. So he forced his spirit into submission. The rage in his breast reined back, unswerving all endurance. But he himself kept tossing, turning, intent as a cook before some white-hot blazing fire, who rolls his sizzling sausage back and forth, packed with fat and blood, keen to broil it quickly, tossing, turning it this way, that way. So he cast about. How could he get these shameless suitors in his clutches? One man facing a mob. When close to his side she came, Athena sweeping down from the sky, in a woman's build, and hovering at his head, the goddess spoke. Why still awake, the unluckiest man alive? Here is your house, your wife at home, your son, as fine a boy as one could hope to have. True, the wily fighter replied. How right you are, goddess. But still this worry haunts me, heart and soul. How can I get these shameless suitors in my clutches? Single-handed, braving an army always camped inside. There's another worry that haunts me even more. What if I kill them? Thanks to you and Zeus. How do I run from under their avengers? Show me the way, I ask you. Impossible, man, Athena bantered, the goddess's eyes ablazed. Others are quick to trust a weaker comrade, some poor mortal far less cunning than I. But I am a goddess. Look, the very one who guards you in all your trials to the last. I tell you this straight out. Even if 50 bands of mortal fighters closed around us, hot to kill us off in battle, still you could drive away their herds and sleek flocks. So, surrender to sleep at last. What a misery. Keeping watch through the night, wide awake. You'll soon come up from under all your troubles. With that, she showered sleep across his eyes, and back to Olympus went the lustrous goddess. As soon as sleep came on him, loosing his limbs, slipping the toils of anguish from his mind, his devoted wife awoke, and sitting up in her soft bed, returned to tears. When the queen had wept to her heart's content, she prayed to the huntress Artemis first of all. Artemis, goddess, noble daughter of Zeus, if only you'd whip an arrow through my breast and tear my life out now at once. Or let some whirlwind pluck me up and sweep me away along those murky paths and fling me down where the ocean river running round the world rolls back upon itself, quick as the whirlwind swept away Pandareus' daughters years ago, when the gods destroyed their parents, leaving the young girls orphans in their house. But radiant Aphrodite nursed them well on cheese and luscious honey and heady wine, and Hera gave them beauty and sound good sense more than all other women. Virgin Artemis made them tall, and Athena honed their skills to fashion lovely work. But then, when Aphrodite approached Olympus's peaks to ask for the girls their crowning day as brides from Zeus, who loves the lightning, Zeus, who knows all that's fated, all not fated for mortal man, then the storm spirits snatched them away and passed them on to the hateful Furies. Yes, for all their loving care. Just so, may the gods who rule Olympus blot me out. Artemis, with your glossy braids, come, shoot me dead, so I can plunge beneath this loathsome earth with the image of Odysseus vivid in my mind. Never let me warm the heart of a weaker man. Even grief is bearable, true. When someone weeps through the days, sobbing, heart convulsed with pain, yet embraced by sleep all night. Sweet oblivion. Sleep, dissolving all, the good and the bad. Once it seals our eyes, but even my dreams torment me. Sent by wicked spirits. Again just this night. Someone lay beside me, like Odysseus to the life, when he embarked with his men-at-arms. My heart raced with joy. No dream, I thought, the waking truth at last. At those words, Dawn rose on her golden throne in a sudden gleam of light, and great Odysseus caught the sound of his wife's cry, and began to daydream. Deep in his heart it seemed she stood beside him, knew him, now, at last, gathering up the fleece and blankets where he'd slept. He laid them on a chair in the hall. He took the ox-hide out and spread it down, lifted his hands and prayed to Zeus. Father Zeus, if you really willed it so to bring me home over land and sea lanes, home to native ground, after all the pain you brought me, show me a sign, a good omen voiced by someone awake indoors, another sign outside, from Zeus himself. And Zeus, in all his wisdom, heard that prayer. He thundered at once, out of his clear blue heavens high above the clouds, and Odysseus' spirit lifted. Then, from within the halls, a woman grinding grain let fly a lucky word. Close at hand she was, where the good commander set the handmills once, and now 12 women in all performed their tasks, grinding the wheat and barley, marrow of men's bones. The rest were abed by now. They'd milled their stint. This one alone, the frailest of all, kept working on. Stopping her mill, she spoke an omen for her master. Zeus, father, king of gods and men, now there was a crack of thunder out of the starry sky, and not a cloud in sight. Sure, it's a sign you're showing someone now. So poor as I am, grant me my prayer as well. Let this day be the day. The last these suitors bolt their groaning feasts in King Odysseus' house. These brutes who break my knees, heart-wrenching labor, grinding their grain. Now let them eat their last. A lucky omen, linked with Zeus's thunder. Odysseus's heart leapt up, the man convinced he'd grind the scoundrels' lives out in revenge. By now, the other maids were gathering in Odysseus's royal palace, raking up the hearth, the fire still going strong. Telemachus climbed from bed and dressed at once, brisk as a young god. Over his shoulder he slung his well-honed sword. He fastened rawhide sandals under his smooth feet. He seized his tough spear, tipped with a bronze point, and took his stand at the threshold. Calling Eurycleia, "Dear nurse, how did you treat the stranger in our house? With bed and board? Or leave him to lie untended? That would be my mother's way, sensible as she is, all impulse doting over some worthless stranger, turning a good man out to face the worst." "Please, child," his calm old nurse replied, "don't blame her. Your mother's blameless this time." He sat and drank his wine till he'd had his fill. Food? He'd lost his hunger, but she asked him, and when it was time to think of turning in, she told the maids to spread a decent bed, but he, so down and out, poor soul, so dogged by fate, said no to snuggling in a bed. Between covers, no, sir. The man lay down in the entrance hall, on the raw hide of an ox and sheep's fleece, and we threw a blanket over him, so we did. Hearing that, Telemachus strode out through the palace, spear in hand, and a pair of sleek hounds went trotting at his heels. He made for the meeting grounds to join the island lords, while Eurycleia, the daughter of Opes, Peisenor's son, that best of women, gave the maids their orders. "Quick now! Look alive! Sweep out the house! Wet down the floors! You, those purple coverlets, fling them over the fancy chairs. All those tables, sponge them down. Scour the wine bowls, burnish cups. The rest, now off you go to the spring, and fetch some water, fast as your legs can run. Our young gallants won't be long from the palace. They'll be bright and early. Today's a public feast." They hung on her words and ran to do her bidding. Full 20 scurried off to the spring's dark water. Others bent to the housework, all good hands. Then in they trooped, the strutting serving men, who split the firewood cleanly now, as the women bustled in from the spring, the swineherd at their heels, driving 3 fat porkers, the best of all his herds, and leaving them to root in the broad courtyard. Up he went to Odysseus, hailed him warmly. "Friend, do the suitors show you more respect, or treat you like the dregs of the earth as always?" "Good, Eumaeus," the crafty man replied. "If only the gods would pay back their outrage. Wild and reckless young cubs conniving here in another's house. They've got no sense of shame." And now, as the two confided in each other, the goatherd Melanthius sauntered toward them, herding his goats with a pair of drovers' help, the pick of his flocks to make the suitors' meal. Under the echoing porch, he tethered these, then turned on Odysseus once again, with cutting insults. "Still alive? Still hounding your betters? Begging around the house? Why don't you cart yourself away? Get out! We'll never part, I swear, till we taste each other's fists. Riff-raff! You and your begging make us sick. Get out! We're hardly the only banquet on the island." No reply. The wily one just shook his head, silent, his mind churning with thoughts of bloody work. Third to arrive was Philotius, that good cowherd, prodding in for the crowd a heifer and fat goats. Boatmen had brought them over from the mainland. Crews who ferry across all travelers too, whoever comes for passage. Under the echoing porch, he tethered all heads well, and then approached the swineherd, full of questions. "Who's this stranger, Eumaeus? Just come to the house. What roots does the man claim? Who are his people? Where are his blood kin? His father's fields? Poor beggar. But what a build, a royal king's. Once the gods weave trouble into our lives, they drive us across the earth, they drown us all in pain, even kings of the realm." And with that thought, he walked up to Odysseus, gave him his right hand, and winged a greeting. "Cheers, old friend, old father, here's to your luck. Great days from this day on, saddled now as you are with so much trouble. Father Zeus, no god's more deadly than you. No mercy for men, you give them life yourself, then plunge them into misery, brutal hardship. I broke into sweat, my friend, when I first saw you. See, my eyes still brim with tears, remembering him, Odysseus. He must wear such rags, I know it. Knocking about, drifting through the world, if he's still alive and sees the light of day, if he's dead already, lost in the house of death. My heart aches for Odysseus, my great lord and master. He set me in charge of his herds, in Cephalanian country, when I was a youngster. How they've grown by now. Past counting. No mortal on earth could breed a finer stock of oxen. Broad in the brow. They thrive like ears of corn, but just look. These interlopers tell me to drive them in for their private feasts. Not a thought for the young prince in the house. They never flinch. No regard for the god's wrath in their mad rush to carve up his goods. My master gone so long. I'm tossed from horn to horn in my own mind. What a traitor I'd be with the prince alive if I'd run off to some other country, herds and all, to a new set of strangers. But isn't it worse to hold out here, tending the herds for upstarts, not their own owners, suffering all the pains of hell? I could have fled ages ago to some great king who'd give me shelter. It's unbearable here. True, but I still dream of my old master, unlucky man. If only he'd drop in from the blue and drive these suitors all in a rout throughout the halls. Cowherd, the cool tactician Odysseus answered. You're no coward, and nobody's fool, I'd say. Even I can see there's sense in that old head, so I tell you this on my solemn, binding oath. I swear by Zeus, the first of all the gods, by the table of hospitality waiting for us, by Odysseus's hearth, where I have come for help, Odysseus will come home while you're still here. You'll see with your own eyes, if you have the heart. These suitors who lord it here, cut down in blood. Stranger, if only, the cowherd cried aloud, if only Zeus would make that oath come true. You'd see my power, my fighting arms in action. Eumaeus echoed his prayer to all the gods, that their wise king would soon come home again. Now as they spoke and urged each other on, and once more the suitors were plotting certain doom for the young prince, suddenly, banking high on the left, an omen flew past. An eagle, clutching a trembling dove, and Amphinomus rose in haste to warn them all. My friends will never carry off this plot to kill the prince. Let's concentrate on feasting. His timely invitation pleased them all. The suitors ambled into Odysseus's royal house, and flinging down their cloaks on a chair or bench, They butchered hulking sheep and fatted goats, full-grown hogs, and a young cow from the herd. They roasted all the innards, served them round, and filled the bowls with wine and mixed it well. Eumaeus passed out cups. Philotius, trusty herdsman, brought on loaves of bread in ample wicker trays. Melanthius poured the wine. The whole company reached out for the good things that lay at hand. Telemachus, maneuvering shrewdly, sat his father down on the stone threshold, just inside the timbered hall, and set a rickety stool and cramped table there. He gave him a share of innards, poured his wine in a golden cup, and added a bracing invitation. "Now sit right there. Drink your wine with the crowd. I'll defend you from all their taunts and blows, these young bucks. This is no public place. This is Odysseus's house. My father won it for me, so it's mine. You suitors control yourselves. No insults now. No brawling, no. Or it's war between us all." So he declared. And they all bit their lips, amazed the prince could speak with so much daring. Only Eupeithes' son, Antinous, ventured. "Fighting words, but let's knuckle under to our prince. Such abuse, such naked threats, but clearly Zeus has foiled us. Or long before we would have shut his mouth for him in the halls, fluent and flowing as he is." So he mocked. Telemachus paid no heed. And now through the streets the heralds passed, leading the beasts marked out for sacrifice on Apollo's grand festal day, and the islanders with their long hair were filing into God's shady grove, the distant deadly archer. Those in the palace, once they'd roasted the prime cuts, pulled them off the spits, and sharing out the portions, fell to the royal feast. The men who served them gave Odysseus his share, fair as the helping they received themselves. So Telemachus ordered, the king's own son. But Athena had no mind to let the brazen suitors hold back now from their heart-rending insults. She meant to make the anguish cut still deeper into the core of Laertes' son, Odysseus. There was one among them, a lawless boor. Ctesippus was his name. He made his home in Same, a fellow so impressed with his own astounding wealth he courted the wife of Odysseus, gone for years. Now the man harangued his swaggering comrades. "Listen to me, my fine friends. Here's what I say. From the start our guest has had his fair share. It's only right, you know. How impolite it would be, how wrong to scant whatever guest Telemachus welcomes in his house. Look here. I'll give him a proper guest gift too, a prize he can hand the crone who bathes his feet, or a tip for another slave who haunts the halls of our great King Odysseus." On that note, grabbing an ox hoof out of a basket where it lay, with a brawny hand, he flung it straight at the king. But Odysseus ducked his head a little, dodging the blow, and seething just as the ox hoof hit the solid wall, he clenched his teeth in a wry, sardonic grin. Telemachus dressed Ctesippus down at once. "Ctesippus, you can thank your lucky stars you missed our guest. He ducked your blow, by God, else I would have planted my sharp spear in your bowels. Your father would have been busy with your funeral, not your wedding here. Enough! Don't let me see more offenses in my house, not from anyone. I'm alive to it all now, the good and the bad. The boy you knew is gone. But I still must bear with this lovely sight. Sheep flocks butchered, wine swilled, food squandered. How can a man fight off so many single-handed? But no more of your crimes against me, please, unless you're bent on cutting me down now. And I'd rather die, yes, better that by far, than to have to look on at your outrage day by day, guests treated to blows, men dragging the serving women through our noble house, exploiting them all. No shame. Dead quiet. The suitors all fell silent, hushed. At last, Damastor's son, ageless, rose and said, "Fair enough, my friends. When a man speaks well, we have no grounds for wrangling, no cause for abuse. Hands off this stranger or any other servant in King Odysseus' palace. But now, a word of friendly advice for Telemachus and his mother. Here's hoping it proves congenial to them both. So long as your heart still kept a spark alive, that Odysseus would return that great, deep man, who could blame you, playing the waiting game at home, and holding off the suitors. The better course, it's true. What if Odysseus had returned, had made it home at last? But now it's clear as day. The man will come no more. So, go, Telemachus. Sit with your mother. Coax her to wed the best man here, the one who offers most, so you can have and hold your father's estate. Eating and drinking here, your mind at peace, while mother plays the wife in another's house." The young prince, keeping his poise, replied, "I swear by Zeus, ageless, by all my father suffered, dead, no doubt, or wandering far from Ithaca these days, I don't delay my mother's marriage, not a moment. I press her to wed the man who takes her heart. I'll shower her myself with boundless gifts, but I shrink from driving mother from our house, issuing harsh commands against her will. God forbid it ever comes to that." So he vowed, and Athena set off uncontrollable laughter in the suitors, crazed them out of their minds. Mad, hysterical laughter seemed to break from the jaws of strangers, not their own, and the meat they were eating oozed red with blood. Tears flooded their eyes, hearts possessed by grief. The inspired seer, Theoclymenus, wailed out in their midst, "Poor men, what terror is this that overwhelms you so? Night shrouds your heads, your faces down to your knees, cries of mourning are bursting into fire, cheeks rivering tears, the walls and handsome crossbeams dripping dank with blood. Ghosts, look, thronging the entrance, thronging the court, go trooping down to the realm of death and darkness. The sun is blotted out of the sky. Look there. A lethal mist spreads all across the earth." At that, they all broke into peals of laughter, aimed at the seer. Polybus' son, Eurymachus, braying first and foremost, "We're a guest, just in from abroad. The man is raving. Quick, my boys, hustle him out of the house into the meeting grounds, the light of day. Everything here he thinks is dark as night." Eurymachus, the inspired prophet, countered, "When I want your escort, I'll ask for it myself. I have eyes and ears and both my feet still, and a head that's fairly sound, nothing to be ashamed of. These will do to take me past those doors. Oh, I can see it now, the disaster closing on you all. There's no escaping it, no way out, not for a single one of you suitors, wild, reckless fools, plotting outrage here, the halls of Odysseus, great and strong as a god." With that, he marched out of the sturdy house and went home to Piraeus, the host who warmed him in. Now all the suitors, trading their snide glances, started heckling Telemachus, made a mockery of his guests. One or another brash young gallant scoffed, "Telemachus, no one's more unlucky with his guests. Ha ha! Look what your man dragged in, this mangy tramp, scraping for bread and wine. Not fit for good hard work, the bag of bones. A useless dead weight on the land, and then this charlatan up and apes the prophet. Take it from me, you'll be better off by far. Toss your friends in a slave ship. Pack them off to Sicily fast. They'll fit you one sweet price. So they jeered. But the prince paid no attention, silent, eyes riveted on his father, always waiting for the moment he'd lay hands on that outrageous mob. And all the while, Icarius's daughter, wise Penelope, had placed her carved chair within earshot at the door, so she could catch each word they uttered in the hall. Laughing rowdily, men prepared their noonday meal, succulent, rich. They'd butchered quite a herd, but as for supper, what could be less enticing than what a goddess and a powerful man would spread before them soon? A groaning feast, for they'd been first to plot their vicious crimes.